Please subscribe and don't forget to press the bell icon to get notified whenever we upload a new video.
I think we have Ashu Madan as well as Mitessh Thakkar joining us to answer all your stock queries. First up, we have Chanda Bisht writing to us from New Delhi. She wants to invest 30,000 rupees in Ultratech Cement for the long term, wants to know the right time to enter the market. Ashu, is this the right time to enter the market? Secondly, Ultratech Cement, 30,000, the company comes out with results today. A large growth is seen purely on account of consolidation with JP. Do you think this is a good time to enter into Ultratech?
See, the largest company, but I would say, the results were good. The past performance is also good, backed by some restructuring on cost front. But I think again the crude price is rising, the coke price is rising. So I would say that though everything looks good, the results would be good, but one should invest at a lower level, not at these levels. So I think even if somebody has to buy at a correction, not at current levels. Though I would say nothing wrong with the company. Fundamentals are supportive, but valuations, I feel that at these levels one should wait with discipline, not to rush or probably there's no urgency to invest at these levels. So I would say everything looks positive, stable, but price-wise one should wait for a lower level to come and then invest.
Yes, and the understanding is that perhaps this quarter the cement numbers are not going to shape up, excuse me, very well. Mitessh, do you have a call on Ultratech? Given of course that earnings are due this afternoon?
Yeah, I think for me, if somebody looking to invest, I would look at two key levels on the downside, which is the medium term and the long term support zones. They are at about 3,700 and about 3,200 respectively. So I think anything closer to about 3,700 which should be good levels to start accumulating. By about 30-40% there. You get another 2-3% dip, keep on adding that, and I don't think we'll break 3,200. So I think while the stock has kind of made a short term top, and I think we've had a correction, the stock is going into some kind of consolidation mode. I think any bad a few days of price decline would be a good entry opportunity, starting from 3,750, 3,700 as your first level to enter, and then keep entering on any 50 to 100 point kind of decline, and I think you should be able to complete your quantity closer to about 3,600 to about 3,500 zone, and that should be a good entry point overall.
All right, up next we have a query coming in from Mr. S.K. Sachdeva, who calls in from New Delhi. Hi, Mr. Sachdev, how can we help you?
Hello. Good afternoon, ma'am. I have 50 shares at 567. I want to know whether I have to add more when correction, or what is your advice further, please?
So you bought it at 567 or 576?
576, sorry, 576. Okay. I started from 511 on SID basis.
Okay, from 511 to 576 you've accumulated. Mitessh, let me come to you first on this. Actually, here again, earnings expected today, but it's been a good performing stock for somebody who's making a bit of money. How long should they remain invested? The stock is nearing that 600 mark. What are the levels on the upside that they need to monitor?
Sorry, what stock is this?
Bandhan Bank.
Yeah. So Bandhan Bank, I think,
Mitessh, my apologies. Allow me to interrupt you. I suppose we're getting the Ultratech Cement numbers. Mangalam, do you have it with you?
No, I don't have the press release yet, so perhaps we'll wait for the first few numbers to flash. And for Ultratech, though, we were looking at a 30% plus growth on the top line. Well, I can't see the press release, just trying to get hold of it. We'll be watching for 30% plus growth on the top line, as well as margins are something that are expected to decline because the realizations have increased not as much as the input costs. So the first number that we're looking at for Ultratech, it's on air. We do have the net profit, which is at 598 crores. This compares to our poll of 604 crores, pretty much in line as far as the bottom line is concerned. Trying to get in the top line as well for Ultratech Cement this time. I think it is close to around 9,000, 9,021. 9,021 is the top line for Ultratech Cement. This compares with our poll of 8742 on the top line. So we'll have to keep an eye out on how this has come by. As of now, the net profit is pretty much in line with expectations. The first number that we have is a standalone revenue of 8655. So they've adjusted for the excise impact as well. Perhaps 100 crore rupees lower than what our poll was suggesting. But again, Nigel, what do you make the first two numbers that we have, the top line and the bottom line? What would you suggest? In line?
No, the top line is fine. The top line, we were working with a growth of around approximately 32%. It's grown by around, if I deduct the excise duty from there, It's around a 30.5% growth if we just plug those numbers in. So that looks fairly okay if we pull that up. Yeah, that's the top line growth is around 30.6% approximately. We were expecting a growth of around 32% approximately. The power and fuel cost, yes, that's gone up quite drastically, and that was expected so. And even the freight and expenses cost, that as well has gone up by quite a large. Do you have the volume numbers, Makala?
No, don't have the volume numbers right now. I'm just trying to calculate the EBITDA. Seems like the EBITDA has come in at 1690 crores.
Volume has jumped. No, sorry. Okay, I'm going to get back to
1623 crores is what our team tells us. 1623 crores is the EBITDA, which compares with our pool of 1578 crores. Right.
So I'm just looking at some details that they've given lower. They're talking about sales volumes are up by around 34% over Q1. So, we'll have to see what exactly is that sales volumes number that they're talking about, whether it's for the consolidated or whether it's for the standalone. But I think, yeah, the EBITDA, standalone EBITDA number, that appears that it's mildly better than what we're working with. There was a whisper number out there that suggested, yes, the number is going to be better. And that's more or less, it'll be mildly better, around 70 basis points better, as the screen is telling you as of now. So just to, the initial numbers that we have, the top line's a bit of a miss, very, very mild miss. The operating performance, we were expecting the margins to see a contraction of roughly around, 520 basis points or thereabouts. It's contracted by a little less than that. So the margins that they have delivered is a little bit better. I think we have Mayuresh Joshi with us as well. Mayuresh, you've had these, had a look at these set of numbers. Top line more or less in line, margins a bit of a beat?
Afternoon, Nigel. Oh, yes. So I think the expectations of margins being around 18%, the margin seems to be a beat. So I think the operation efficiencies in terms of the input cost inflation that we were more likely to witness because of fuel and freight costs, that probably has not played out as negatively as one expected. Top line more or less in line with estimates. So yes, prima facie, I think one should now look at the volume growth that the company has delivered.
What kind of a volume growth were you all expecting?
So again, I think we were modeling in somewhere around 16.5, 16.6 tons. Again, I think largely led by the operations of the acquired JP assets. So I think a 30% YOY volume growth is something that we're looking at.
Nigel, they haven't given the absolute number yet.
There'll be a presentation. Right. There'll be a presentation that will come out shortly. So in that, I think they'll give us the breakup of the absolute volume number. But as of now, these numbers look more or less in line. The top line's more or less in line, but the margins are better. It's a beat, the street was bracing for a sharp contraction there. There was a whisper out there that yes, that margin number could be a tad bit better. And that's precisely what's happened. And I think the street is taking note of that. The stock is corrected, remember, around 15% from the recent peak. So that's giving it some cushion. So these numbers, I think they look more or less in line. But otherwise, it's mildly better in terms of margins. We're waiting for commentary. What's the outlook going ahead? How are they handling this, this pet coke price spike as well? But we have Jaspreet Arora as well, who joins in. Jaspreet, you've had a look at these numbers. What's your reading of it?
Broadly in line with the street and our estimate. So on all the parameters at revenue front and the EBITDA front as well as the volume side. Volume is a tad better than expected.
What is the volume number you're driving?
It is 17.4.
17.4. So that's very mildly better then, because we are working with a number of around 17.3 million tons approximately. So you'll see that this is more or less in line with a mild positive bias?
It's a mild, yeah, that's correct.
And what's the current rating on the stock?
So we believe it is more on a hold rating. But I think the only thing one needs to be aware of, and I just want to take a minute to comment on that, is I think the overhang will be there on the stock with regards to the acquisitions that they have done recently or that they plan to do in the near future. So I'm referring to Century as well as the Binani acquisition. This I think will be a slight overhang because the ROC over here is like low single digit, while the core ROC of the Ultratech is closer to 10%. So that will be this is about 12% of the aggregate capacity. I'm talking about Binani plus Century as a percentage of combined Ultratech assets, let's say 12 months from now.
Nigel, they've given an operating EBITDA of 929 rupees per ton. If we divide that by the EBITDA that we're calculating, would that be an assessment of the volume growth?
Yeah, I'm just trying to see whether or not this EBITDA number that they have given to us, whether or not it's it's on a standalone basis or is it on a consolidated basis? So, the way of computing the EBITDA number as well varies. So, we'll just hold...
Because the 17.4 number that Jaspreet was saying matches with that.
Yeah, okay.
It largely matches, yeah. It largely matches. So that 929 which the company is given, it largely matches with what the analyst derive. I mean, that they take into account a part of the other income. Well, if you knock off that, I think it'll be slightly below 900, which is excluding the other operating income. Then it becomes slightly below 900.
Yeah, so let's keep that, to rest as of now. Let's wait by for the actual volume number. Thanks so much, Jaspreet, as well as Mayuresh for joining in. So to sum these numbers up, top line is more or less in line or a small miss out there. The margins are better. We're waiting by for further details. Once the presentation comes out, we'll get back to you all. And in fact, we'll have the management who talks to press as well at around 3:30 p.m. today.
All right, Ashu, we were talking about Ultratech just a short while back, and you weren't looking at any fresh positions in this stock. How would you look at the numbers now, and any commentary on how things could shape up in FY19?
Yeah, I think the view is still the same. I mean, all said and done, it is in line with the expectations, and we have to see that how do you manage that petcoke prices, and probably going ahead we'll look at the commentary also. But I think my view is still the same, that we have to wait for some bit of correction to buy this. I mean, as I said, the things are stable, it looks fine, but the valuations are still, I would say that further there's a scope of some correction. So I think it is better, see, nobody can time this market, but all said and done, timing is important. It's not that you buy and the stock goes down by 10%, and normally, I mean, investors get jittery, buying at the stock which is a higher price, I mean, absolute value is higher. So I think one has to try and time it better so that, I mean, the stop losses are lower and probably one can hold it for a longer period of time.
Okay, all right. I'll just give you the number. The total volumes are out, 17.5 million tons. That's the number that we're working with. So let's get that up for you. And that compares with around, I'm talking about the total number, that compares with around 13.2. So that's a tad bit better, telling you that the realizations would have been a little weaker because you have a bit of a growth in terms of a little higher number in terms of volumes, but the top line growth isn't that much. So that's telling you that the realizations have contracted a tad bit more. So that number as well is out for us. We have the domestic sales, the export sales as well, and the utilization numbers as well. That, the press release has just got uploaded for us.
Yeah.
So we have more or less all the numbers now.
All right, and there's some additional detail as well. Ultratech will issue 1 share for 8 shares of Century Textiles for the demerger plan. Is that known or is that additional, Nigel?
Yeah, I think that's known, right? I mean, I think that came a couple of months ago that, they'll be going ahead with this demerger plan. So we'll have to wait by, what exactly comes out of there.
All right, Nigel, thanks very much for that. Let's take a quick break. We'll come back in a bit, and we actually have that unanswered query on Bandhan Bank. So we'll try and complete that, and lots more queries as well lined up next. Stay tuned.
All right, welcome back. You're watching Your Stocks. We took a bit of a detour on the show on account of Ultratech's first quarter numbers, but we will answer Mr. Sachdeva's query from New Delhi. Investments in Bandhan Bank, 50 shares at about 576 rupees a piece. Mitessh, you were giving your rationale on Bandhan Bank. Go ahead.
Yeah, so this is one stock where the chart still looks pretty good to me, and I think the uptrend is still steady. I would suggest revising the stop loss at 540, looking for the next target at 660, and even there, I think, if he chooses to hold on, he can take a fresh call over there.
All right, that's the word on Bandhan Bank. Ashu, you want to share some advice on the stock?
See, I think the return ratios of the bank are good. I mean, the overall performance is good, the growth is good, but the scale is still not too, broad to judge too much. So I would say that it looks positive, hold, but I think valuations also look reasonably good considering the size of the bank. So I would say I would have a cautiously positive view. I mean, I'm not too gung-ho on the stock. I mean, it looks positive, but it will have a lower beta, probably a more long-term kind of a play, but a stable play.
All right, thanks a lot for that. In the meanwhile, just keep an eye on a couple of individual stocks which are at the low point of the day. Repco Home Finance as well as Colgate. Colgate has been weak in today's trading session and currently is at the low point of the day. What we'll do is slip into a short break, come back, we talk about individual stocks. But remember, tomorrow we have our Mutual Fund Corner where top experts will answer all your mutual fund related queries. You can email us your queries. We will focus on some more stocks and queries as we return from this short break.
Welcome back. You're with your stocks at two experts, Ashu and Mitessh, are waiting by. Our next query comes in from Rupali Singh, who has written to us from Lucknow. She has 55 shares of Mindtree. She's bought it at 940 rupees. She's been holding on for 3 months. She's a medium-term investor and wants to know what she should do. Mitessh, she's making decent money. Is there more upside here?
I would believe so. I think, you know, while the stock has kind of stalled since April, but I think on the longer term charts, I think no damage has been done. I think the stock will eventually make higher highs. I would suggest trailing the stop loss to just below cost at 900. I think 1350, 1400 could be a good target if somebody is looking at 6 months kind of plus kind of horizon.
All right, Ashu, your view on Mindtree?
See, I think overall IT is doing good. Mindtree, I mean, the numbers are good. The company has posted, I mean, last year performance was also good and expected to be good. But I somehow feel that it's fairly priced. So either one has to have now a different long-term view. Otherwise, I mean, immediate short-term, I would not think that the major gains are going to come. So probably it is, as a disciplined investor, one can book profits also, wait for a lower levels if he wants to re-enter Mindtree, or probably can hold. So it's a mix of booking profit and hold kind of a thing, because I personally feel that the valuations are, I mean, somehow it's fairly valued.
All right, gentlemen, thanks very much for your quick take on Mindtree. Some news flow coming through that the oil minister says that they have renegotiated the Gazprom LNG deal, and the likely savings could be up to the tune of about 9,500 crore rupees. Not many more details available. We'll wait for that, but we'll wrap up on your stocks. Do remember, tomorrow we have a mutual fund corner, so you can email us any of your mutual fund related queries. Do stay tuned. Closing bell will take you through the last hour of trade.